welcome in, guys.
Good morning, good morning.
Missy, good morning. Welcome in.
Mr. Roseberry, how you doing this morning, Terry?
How we doing this morning, guys?
Do a little bit of warm up here just to kind of get my joints moving here. We'll tighten. A little cooler this morning again. We've had another one of those little cool runs through here, and that warm and cool and damp and whatever stuff just gives me fits with my arthritis. So I am ready to be complaining about 100-degree temperatures. Well, we got a few folks showing up. Where's everybody from this morning? Missy, thank you for the gift. Paul, thank you. Got an incense burning down here that's coming right up in my face. Can't do that. That was a little rough. See what I do with that other punch. All right. Let's see. Oh, there it is. All right. Well, just kind of warming up on this piece of this is raw Buffalo River. It's a pretty good piece of it. I kind of, for those of you that have watched me for very long, you know that I've got an ongoing obsession with learning to make fulsome points. And this weekend, this was the first one that I made, and this is out of one of those preforms that I was showing you guys over here the other day that I was working down. But this one, it turned out really good. There's the other side of it. The flutes could have gone a little farther. I would have been a little happier with that. But then last night, I sat down with another one of those pieces, and let me see if I can get it in the light where you can see it. There's the flute, and there's the other side of it. And this thing is like a tater chip. It is thin. That's one of the nicest fulsomes that I've made so far. So the next thing I'm working on these, if you can see this edge flaking, how small the flakes are, I need to get about half of the distance between those flakes is what I would like to have. Now this is accurate to some of the old pieces, but it's just, I've still got a little ways to go on it. So I kind of got the bug to work on some fulsomes again, or at least work on my technique. And I'm trying to find, when picking through my material, to see if I could find any that, I like to work. If the culture would have used raw material from an area, then that's what I use for it. I don't use heat treated or slabbed out material for reproductions like that. So I've been picking through my rock pile over here and trying to come up with some more stuff that would have been fulsome-ish, and I've come up with a few pieces here that I think that we can work through. I was going to tell you, Terry, I don't know that I've ever seen one made out of Horse Creek, but I can't imagine, it's a little farther south and east of where the fulsome cultures were, but it's on my list. I'd really like to make a pretty one out of it, even though it's not, historically correct. I agree, it would be beautiful, Terry, but on the flip side of that is it's rough to try to make points that have such a high failure rate during the production, because I don't want to, break the rock. I want to try to make something nice out of the rock. And when I'm doing something that I know is going to give it a high chance of breaking, then it kind of makes me a little bit nervous, I guess. I don't want to say, I just don't want to waste gifted, pretty materials. So I was going to show you guys these. I made these this weekend too, out of a couple little doodles that I had made. They're like like a caveman wristwatch almost. I won't put them on, but I just thought they were kind of a neat little bauble that I came up with. Had a kind of a match set of them. These, I like making these little, they're just, I guess they're more of a doodle than anything, but they're just fun to, when you end up with a piece that you can't really make much out of, that's what I try to utilize the material as much as I can. So, but that's something I worked on this weekend too. It's kind of in a creative mood this weekend, so. Try to stay on that, and we're going to make a little fulsome preform out of this. It's got big lump right here with a quartz area pocket here. Oh, I had that stuff going on. Don, good morning, by the way. I had that the appointment with my dog, and by the time we got up to get her to go, or get ready to go, and all that, I wouldn't have been able to get on here, and I had just other stuff happening. So I'm hoping that it'll kind of calm out now. So, but yeah, I usually try to schedule appointments, after I would be live or something like that, and that day just didn't the timing didn't work out. So, but I was active all weekend. I was, like I said, if you just got in here, I made one of my best fulsomes I've ever made last night, or this weekend. That other one I made on Saturday, I think. But I'm just stoked with that one, man. And from the end, that's as close as I've gotten, I think, to the real deal right there. Or one of the, I've got 2 or 3 that are like that. But so I got all fired up. You been in here? All right. Let's see if we can work this. Tell you what, let me see if I can. I'll do a little bit of punch work this morning. Try to get the early stages of this one broken down. Some of this early work, it's like that zigzagging and trying to build that edge. I usually don't, Kathleen, but I actually am considering doing some kind of an alternate deal for that very reason, because I've had a few people ask me if, because I do go live through the week and most everybody's working, or that kind of stuff, and it's harder for them to tune in sometimes. So I have actually been thinking about, I tried to do a Wednesday night deal, and I may try to reincorporate that. I was doing attempting to do a Wednesday evening from 8 until 10, and trying to do some alternate stuff, maybe some of my peck and grind work, stuff other than flint knapping. But I have thought about maybe doing a schedule where I could do an afternoon. The only issue is, for me, is depending on the way my body's reacting. The earlier in the day I'm usually by midday or early afternoon is when my body just starts telling me that I can't do anymore, and I get my back gets inflamed, and it's, so if I can work out a schedule where, what kind of timing, like afternoon, when you say afternoon, what time do you think? what would be a good, early afternoon, later afternoon, early evening. Oh, okay, Kathleen. Sorry. Yeah. What I was saying. What time would be good for what is a more beneficial time? Because I really would like to be able to make it easier for you guys to tune in and all that. So. Yes, sir. And that's actually, Terry, that's on my list. I've got a good buddy of mine, Dennis Leach. All right, thank you, Don, for letting me know that I was right on, Kathleen. Well, I tell you what, I will do a Wednesday. I'll do Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock. I'll do a Wednesday night. So, but yes, Terry, I have been looking at the Cumberlands. I've got a good friend of mine. His name is Dennis Leach, and Dennis is just he's a phenomenal Cumberland guy, and he actually is making some Folsoms now too, because he's got a shoulder issue going on. So the smaller. Right on, Kathleen. Yeah, I'll 8 o'clock Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, and I'll go live 8 to 10, and I'll come up with I'll tell you what would be a subject that you would like to see. I do, we can do. Grinding, we can do up close, pressure flaking. I won't be able to do it as dark, but we could do some of that. Chips and coffee. What's going on, Jeb? All right. Well, anyway, the Cumberlands. Dennis makes some killer Cumberlands, and I've actually learned a lot from. He was one of the guys I picked their brain a lot. Hey, Jeb, check this out, man. I made this one yesterday. Now, it doesn't show up very good, the flaking and all that. Little Folsom I made yesterday, and then this one I made Saturday. I put a video on my how. You mean as far as how did I nap those? Well, I made one on live here a ways, last part of last year, but I've just been working on my technique. So that's what today I'm going to try to make a little small, or a thin biface out of this. It's got a big old lump on it and quartz and seams and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the flutes I did with the indirect, the same as if you go check out. Well, you see my videos on my profile where I'm using the indirect to flute with the my little fluting jig that I made. That's what I used. Oh, there it is. That's with that little, well, you can use it either direction, but it's got like a little piece of leather glued in. It's a piece of bone. At first I used it like this a lot. This I used to use as a handheld. The way this all modified, I'll explain it to you, Jeb. Used to, I had just a punch that I used, like, I think that's that one right, yeah, it's that one right there. I can see from the dents in it. Well, Justin, I tell you what, when you come up here, are you still planning on coming Monday up here? And when you are, we can get you all the measurements and the stuff, and I'll show you, that way you can see how this is set up. Right on. Yeah, and then I'll show you how it's, how I set this little thing up. This is the way I started off, and this actually still works when I'm doing a bigger piece. Right on, man. I'm looking forward to it. Justin's going to come up and do some napping with me next Monday, so I'm looking forward to that. Be the first time I've got to meet him in IRL, in real life. So, but on the larger pieces, I use this block like this. I'll just use this one as an example. This is not a Clovis preform, but, and then I'll set that up against the tip of that bone. Of course, there'll be a fluting nipple that it would be, you know, a platform will be set up here, but then I wrap the piece and wrap the leather to hold it in place, and then it's just set up against the punch this way, but it gives it a place to drive that flake to. Now, on the smaller pieces, that's what I've started doing. When I first started using this, I was experimenting with it. It was I would put the tip up against that, hold it in my hand, and then, you know, handheld flute. And it's basically the same thing, and it works almost identical to using the jig. The jig just keeps, it kind of keeps the platform from dipping a little bit when I strike it. So anyway, I took that idea, I guess, you know, to start off with this, and I started using it. And let me find one of these. This is one I've been working on. I put the flute out there like that. This one's so thin. This is going to be another really nice one, guys. But then that goes right over the top of it, and it kind of dampens, you know, and you can wrap that down, and what it does is it holds it in place and dampens any vibration that goes through the length of it. You can see how that's right up against that piece. So essentially what you're doing is increasing the mass of the stone because it's in contact with all this stuff around it. And that's the goal for me on that, was to get it puts less shock on the rock, and it actually allows more of the energy to go through it. This is one I was messing with, and it actually started fluted from this side, and then it fluted from the tip on the same strike. And there are historic examples of that happening with those. So what I'm going to do is I'll just set up the other side, and we may do that today and do the other side and see if we can't get a flute. So anyway, I've been going crazy, man, on the frickin' Folsoms again. Long story, somewhat shorter. But yeah, I've been doing the indirect fluting, Justin, or Jeb. But yeah, Justin, when you come up here, we can look at all that stuff and got a crack or a seam right here going into that quartz area. Well, I'm asking a lot of that punch on that. It detached, it just didn't. It's that quartz pocket was holding all that in there. Oh, and there's quartz under where I was hitting. I'm looking forward to it, Justin. Is there any stuff that in particular that you're wanting to work on, or? Mad Dog, I think there were probably just about as many ways to flute them as there were people that had ideas of how to flute them. I'm sure that indirect percussion was used. Right on, we can do that, Justin. You mean like early stage, like going from the raw rock down to the first stage of the biface? Is that kind of what you're talking about? Or are you talking about like big spall? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can do that. I'm gonna tell you guys though, you don't realize the power that this thing generates. When I was really hitting on that to try to get that to remove, the force and the friction of that going down the side of that, I don't know if you've ever smelled antler, if you ground on it or cut it, the smell of it, that heat and friction, that I could smell that when I hit that 2 or 3 times. That's how much of that force and friction that was going on there. But yeah, we can do that, Justin. It's, you know, that's the thing, and it's like I've told a lot of people, I think that, you know, and you're still fairly new to flint knapping, but what everybody wants is those big flake removals, you know, and I think you go after them too soon. If you establish the thickness too soon and you don't have your platform set up for convexity and all that, to be able to, well, this thing's got all kinds of quartz in it. But you can see, I mean, as I'm working down this rock, it's not, you know, at this point, I'm not trying to take big flakes off of it. I'm setting up, you know, angles. Look how chunky that thing is. And I'm telling you, that's what it is, Justin, because you look at this rock and, I mean, it looks, to most people that are starting off, you're thinking, man, that thing looks horrible. But all I'm trying to do is establish a working edge. I'd like it to be as close to the center line as possible, but it's not. Oh, absolutely, Don. Yeah, it'll spark like a son of a gun. I can see in lower light, even with stone tools. Well, there was a spark right there off that one. I was getting ready to say when it's darker, but I saw that one pretty clear. But no, you don't have to go after all of this stuff until you're set up to do that. And if well, I didn't really talk a lot as I was going through about what I was doing, but all I'm doing right here is just getting this wavy edge, getting a sharpened edge. And a lot of it depends on the technique you like to use. If you like hard hammer or direct percussion, you're going to want to set up a little bit steeper. See, like that, it's hard to explain on camera, but you can see that little tip coming out right there. Well, if I hit that with a hammerstone, like it is, it'll just it'll crush away because there's not enough surface area to catch that rock. So either I need to dull it really, you know, hard, or you can, you know, depending on, like I said, if you like direct percussion, I'll get a little bit bigger piece than that. Trying to find one that's kind of in process of use so that I can start breaking in. I like to use on early stage. If that's maybe a little tip for you guys, if you're trying to do this with natural tools, that one's starting working good. I try not, you know, to grind off as much of the usable bone or antler. So as I wear them down, you can see how that's starting to wear around those corners. But on that sharper edge like that, the antler is really good about just grabbing. And these are flakes that, see, that's a little steeper. And then, you know, that's the difference right there. I hit that 3 or 4 times because it was the steepness of it with the antler. And I hit it 1 time with this and it just popped. And it's all about the angle of that platform. But you can see, like I said, this thing is clunky and chunky. I'm not trying to drive any big removal flakes off there. I'm just trying to get it set up to where those flakes will happen. Now, is when you start looking at like areas that you want to lose the mass in. Okay, we've got this area here, big lump that comes off this side. So we've got a ridge here off this tip that comes right along to this area. We've got a lowered edge here towards this mass, and then we've got another one that's kind of angled to the back, but there's a little bit of a valley there. You don't want to hit this one first because it's going to just dive into this mass and stop. You're going to end up with a big step fracture there. What I'll do is I'll set that platform up and save it for the last shot on this removal. We're going to take a lot of this mass off in 3 big flake removals. Hopefully, that's the plan. I'm going to set those up. And it's like I tell you guys all the time, it's those little flakes. That's where it's at. This big removal is just a result of that little flake and the way that it cut and isolated this spot. You can see that little knob right there and how that goes right down that ridge, right into that mass. Georgetown, yeah, we can work some Georgetown. I think I've got some, Justin. I have to dig out and see what I've got, but I've been going through some of my rock. I'm getting ready to have to do some, go on my rock runs now that it's, all right on. Justin, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Other Justin. Now, Justin, is your name pronounced with a like is it flum or is it flume? Is it a short vowel or a long vowel sound? Because I'm not sure on the last name pronunciation. I want to make sure I get it right. Bryce, how you doing this morning? How's the weather in Texas treating you? Plum. Okay, flum. Gotcha. I just wanted to make sure didn't want to mispronounce and didn't, I have one of those last names that it's Wogoman, and it has been butchered my entire life, so. Yeah, that's what we got, Bryce. It's clouding up and getting cold. Tomorrow afternoon or morning, we've got freezing rain and snow possibilities. Yep, that's what we were experiencing, man. It's just nuts. So, but anyway, all right, let's get back to this. Now I'm gonna set up, okay, I said 3 big removals. That's our goal on this. So this first plate right here, I'm gonna try to shoot down this area of mass on this side. Then we're gonna go to the middle one, and then lastly, that one that I told you we didn't want to go into a valley. I'm hoping that this first one will take off most of it and that these other 2 will just be really easy, and that'll flatten that out and get us in a really good spot for it. Now, when I set this up against there, I'm putting that ridge that I want it to run to on the bottom. And I'm pushing towards the punch. Oh, it tried to detach. That was a big flake. There it went. It came apart because I hit it so hard, but you see how much of that mass that took off. I mean, this, I think we still got the platform. Yeah, we do. That flake spread out it kind of went into this dip that's really weird, but the rest of the force of it traveled through the rest of the rock. Oh, that's what happened, is it kind of split right there. Because I had my angle, so I actually took off the ridge off both sides of that. But you can see how much of that ridge, or how much of that mass that just removed. Now we've got another ridge right here next to it. Same thing, I'm trying to set this up to where that ridge is on the bottom. I'm going to push inward. There it went. And there's the other side of that ridge. And you can see that flake stayed intact, but you can see the ridge and how I had that set with that on the bottom. It's basically just like a blade core. I mean, that would have been used as a cutting tool right there as is. That's just a double-sided razor. All right. Now what we have is, we're always trying to get the tip and the base thin before we get the middle. And now you can see most of our mass is towards the middle of this. By doing that, we've lessened the chance that it's going to break during these strikes or these removals. And we've got an area right here. It's the remnant of that quartz pocket that was in there. And that's always an area where it can propagate a crack and start and break on you. But what we're going to do is this next flake that I'm going to take is not going to be quite as aggressive. What do I do with my... I'm going to set it on the bottom like this. I'm going to tilt this. You can see the angle of this this platform right there. I've got it tilted. I'm not holding it up. Let me get it in line with the camera. I'm not like this with it. I'm like that. And there's the end of that. So you want it down to where you're giving. If you try to hit it like this, that force is trying to go directly into the meat of that rock. By tilting it down, I'm trying to get it to kind of curve and go around that mass. And also, to support it underneath that and give it like complete, right behind that is where I'm pushing in on my hand. I'm trying to get it to run the width of the piece. Now that one didn't curl as much, but it did take off that whole top. So I lied, it's going to take 4 hits, because here's the other one right next to it. And that got rid of our little valley for this last one back here, so now it's pretty much just straight across. And I think it's going to be a pretty good removal, so yeah, it was. All right, so now that completely changed the whole topography of that point of that stash style. Right on. Well, I don't know which part of it that I said that made sense to you, but I'm glad that it helped. If you liked if the comment helped, or the tip. But see, now we've got the base and the tip. At this point, I'm thinking base, tip are both thinner than the center of it. And we've got a lowered area. Jeb, I am in Northwest Arkansas. I am just out of Garfield, between Garfield and Pea Ridge, Arkansas. Where are you at? I'm horrible with, stuff like that. I won't ever forget your face once I've seen you and met you, but names and stuff, sometimes I'm just really bad with, and getting worse as I get older. All right, now this should, I'm going to try to take this flake right here. I'm going to hit it pretty hard. There's a kind of a big flat area, but I want to take that shot before I try to take some of these some of the easier ones, because I'm going to have to hit this one. I'm going to try to get it to come out and take the top of this. You can see that kind of that ridge area right here, and it'll be a really flat flake. So I'm going to hit it with a little extra juice to get it to shoot under the flat spot that I want it to. And I want to save this extra mass here so that it doesn't try to fold the piece, because I am hitting it from the end, but we're really early in the production of it, so it shouldn't break it. It'll just give, this mass will give that flake a little bit of a better opportunity to run through all that. Tell you what though, I'm gonna go down a size on a punch so I can get a little bit tighter on that platform. Yeah, that's what I was thinking would happen. See, it went out here and kind of it was flat through that area, just enough to kind of thin that tail of that out. I may have switched over too soon. That's all right though. Yeah, I did too, because I want a little bit more mass. Cindy, thank you for the follow. Brandon, thank you for the follow. Guys, I appreciate it. Sorry if I missed any comments or stuff there. I was kind of getting lost in this a little. What we're doing here is I'm just trying to establish convexity from edge to edge and get to a point where my flakes are overlapping and I'm getting an area of convexity. And again, like I said, this thing's not, we're getting there, but it's not a flat biface yet, and a lot of people would have started trying to take too much material too soon, and now we're getting ready to have, I'm going to be able to cut through this there, and then this edge here, clean that up, and it's going to be a nice, fairly thin, what they call like a stage 3 or 4 biface. Quarry blank. Right now, this is what I would call a quarry blank. This is how they would have transported it, is pretty much like this. That's, if Terry's still in here, that's the kind of stuff that Terry's finding over there. A lot of the preforms are just rough like that. And they're just checking the material. DJ, thank you for the follow. Guys, we're getting pretty close. I'm gonna give I don't know what I did with it now. I've got a hardened point here somewhere. I've set it somewhere, but I'll find it. We're giving that away at 5,000 followers to the channel. I think we're like 200 away or 250. So thank you for the follows. All right, let's get this side first. Hopefully it'll go. It did a little bit. You can see that kind of iron stain right where that went under. That was my concern over here, is that it looked like there was a little bit of a seam. There's the clearing flake across that. Jake, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. You can see how much mass and how that just came right up the backside of that hill. And now all I've got to do there is take a flake from the other side to even that up. And these little flakes that I'm doing here are basically just, I'm isolating this ridge a little bit more to this side. And now you can see we've got this area of mass, we've got an isolated ridge, and it's gonna end up and stop about where that last of that little bit of pocket of cortex, there's kind of a hole there. And it'll taper into probably won't take all of it, but it'll take about half of it because of well, let me show you guys how that flake is going to travel from where it detaches if you look at the topography of that flake, that's the area that I'm hoping for, that I'm going to get with this removal. And the reason I can tell you kind of within reason how or where that's going to detach is because I know kind of where this flake is going to let loose at. And that flake, or the energy, is going to follow. It won't dive down into it, or I hope it doesn't, but it will want to run those high spots. And you can see how that line off the end through this brown kind of cuts where the top of that little hill comes off. Now I was a little bit inside the line over here, but you can see how that's pretty close to what I drew out. And now you've got a flattened area, and I've got another little ridge right next to it. What I usually do, guys, is I'll start, instead of trying to work both sides of the piece, I'll get one side of it flattened, and then I'll start working off that side. I don't try to adjust both sides. You notice I haven't hardly worked on this side at all. Because once this side's flattened, it's going to give me all of the angles that I need to go to the other side of this. If you're trying to work both sides at the same time, unless you're just working like opportunistic flakes, or platforms, then you're going to waste a lot of your material jumping back and forth. You just set it to, get to one side of your work, and then once that's flattened out, then everything is to the other side. It makes it pretty easy. All right, we're pretty flat on that. I got one more right there off the tip of that. I think I can get some of the remainder of that. And this side will be pretty flat. I really don't have to take that right now, but my edge is already turned that way. And if I can get that, then I've got one more little flake here, and this side will be basically flattened out. And there's still enough mass in this that hitting it from the end is not as dangerous as it will be later on. Now that didn't travel like I wanted it to. That's okay though. Didn't have to take that up, but now I got my tip is all thinned out, so there we go. That's kind of what I was wanting, was just to get that first part of that. Now that isolated this area, and again, everything is already tilted that way. I'm not adjusting any platforms and wasting material. All I'm doing is just using beneficial stuff that's just like right there already. This is just going to be a little blending type flake, and then we'll move to the other side. See, just took off that. Well, and now that set the angle right for this side, so it will be completely flat. All right. Now what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of trimming this. I'm setting up my first flake coming back this way. And I am going to switch to the smaller punch. This is the last little bit of that quartz pocket that was on here. There it went. Perfect. All right. Now you can see, Justin, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. You can see how now I've got a lowered area to this mass right here. And you can see how we haven't lost very much size, but we've lost a lot of mass off that piece. You know, we haven't lost width or length dimensions as much as we have the thickness. Now this one's probably going to blend into this, and then we'll end up having to work on this a little bit more because the contours are not right over here to try to drive the long flakes in there on there. Jude, thank you for the follow. Excuse me, guys. Take a little bit of a couple of blending flakes right here. All right, I was just flattening down that. You see how this face here is now fairly flat. All right, let's see. Take one more right here. That'll be my next one right there. Too much angle. There it was. DW Hit or DeWitt, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. All right. Put in this little smaller punch. All right, we've got this is the last little bit of the original outside of the cortex, or the unworked rock where it's been tumbled. We've got a somewhat of a ridge underneath it. There's a little bit of a low spot right here in the middle. But I'm gonna work back either direction of this to try to lower that and isolate it down this ridge. All right, that's better. It's still a little bit kind of flat right there, but you can see how now we've taken that down to where that, that lowered spot is in line with this. And we're able not to lose too much of our edge for that. Gonna adjust it just a little bit. Actually, I think I'll do that. There. I was just trying, there was just a tiny little, like a nub right there. You can see that little dark spot right there that was sticking up. Jude, this year will be 30 years since I started. Now I spent a lot of those years that I didn't really work at it very much. About the last 10 years is when I got serious. And I started using the stone antler and stone tools about 10 years ago now. So I kind of got interested in flint knapping again, it just kind of refueled. And then I was using a lot of my old copper tools that I had in storage and was messing around with. And I saw a Marty Reuter. Yeah, 69. There's no AI. This is real. This is actual. Well, it's actual intelligence. You're right. It's not artificial intelligence. So I guess, yeah, technically it is AI, but it is real also. All right. I mean, come on. You think I'd make myself look like an old man if it was AI? Give me a break, dude. It is. It is. Well, gonorrhea, welcome to the real world. Again, those were just like beneficial little platforms that they were already there. I have actually taken animals with my work. Thank you for the question. Yeah, I have never killed or harvested. I don't want to, offend anyone, but I have never harvested an animal with all handmade equipment, and that is on my bucket list. I've used a bow that I've made with a modern arrow. I have used an arrow that I've made out of a glass, like a longbow, but I have never had a setup and been in a situation where I've been able to take one with all handmade equipment, and that is on the list. All right, let's see if we can remove some of that ridge now. I use let's see, what's it, horse cream. Can't do anything with the Horse Creek Mad Dog. I make my arrows out of river cane. 69. See, that's why I set that up for so long, to make sure that see how much of that ridge or that mass that took off there? And how that flattened that? Now this is raw Buffalo River here. This hasn't been heated. It was just what looked to be a fairly clean, good piece of it to me. It's pretty dry, but like it's consistent. It works really similar to our higher grade, like a Burlington is what it reminds me of. I've got some over here that's heat treated, but again, I'm trying to make a Folsom, so I'm not using any heat-treated material. You're welcome. Just remember me when the uprising happened. Make the statue of my good side. Hey, right on, Jude. I appreciate it. Good luck with your interview. Hope it goes well. All right, we're going to do the same thing over here. You can see we've got just a little bit of that cortex left there. I'm going to try to take a series of flakes down that side and isolate what's left of this ridge here, and that should flatten us out pretty good. Hey, no worries. I appreciate it too. Yeah, I like to have a little fun too, so no worries. Like I said, I can play and have fun with as long as people stay respectful. I'll interact. But Butte or Butt with a lot of letters after it. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Now, guys, this is a place, if you come in and you want to cut up and have fun, that's all well and good, and I'm good to go with it as long as it stays respectful. I'll be respectful to you, you be respectful to me, and wow, how cool is that? You know, we could use a little bit more of it in the world. Now that lipped a little bit right there. When I say lipped, I hit it right on a little bit of a nub, like I was trying to remove all ago. You could see that white spot right where I hit that, and it was too strong, and it took out like a lipped area. And that adjusts your contours a little bit. It's kind of a frustrating. That was not a very good flake on my part. So now I'll go in and alter those contours a little bit so that I can come back and fix that here in a little bit. There we go. I was wanting a pretty solid removal there to try to get underneath this other side and flatten out the base on this side. So hey, good morning, MM Cash. What's the small stone? Well, when I switch to different tools, I usually am switching because of the size or the mass of the tool. It's so that, you know, it's hard to describe or explain the physics involved in it, but it's when two masses collide, if one of them is drastically heavier than the other one, the one that's heavier will rebound. What you're trying to avoid, for a striker, you could use, Mad Dog, you can use, as long as you're not hitting too hard, you know, or carrying too much mass. This is, I can't remember if this is persimmon or what this piece is, but you can use this. This is just but you hear the difference. It's a little softer. So you're gonna have a little bit more of a slower hit with it because of the soft. See, it'll work. It just doesn't transfer it the same, and you can play around with different stuff, different antlers, but you can use a whitetail antler. You can use a hammerstone, for that matter. You can strike like that with a hammerstone. It's just, all you're doing is transferring the energy. See, I'm using the mass of that hammerstone to transfer that energy. So I do. If you'll check right up here and go to my profile, I've got the links right there. Like, click on my name and then go check out my profile, and it says whatever, however many, and 3 more or something like that, but it's got all that information there. I gotta drag the puzzle piece, guys. Hold on a second. You know, the fun stuff that we get to do. All right. Got a little bit more of that right there. Now, I believe, like I said, I'm going to try to make this into a fulsome. So I've got a little bit of width down here to use. I don't know, I'm not trying to make a Clovis out of it. It's a little bit bigger than I'm. Right on, yeah, Mad Dog, you can use, and like I said, the hardness of the striker, like you could hear the difference of that wood. It's softer, so you're gonna have to hit it with a little bit like a slappier type. I used to, Levi. I have done it a lot. I have, but over the years, now where it gets me now is when I'm holding like this up underneath something and I hit down and I'll have a flake come off and stick in my finger, but I don't hit my fingers much anymore. I have, it only took me, oh, it hurts a lot. It only took me, way more than what normal people would take, but I have gotten to where now I can get my fingers out of the way. It's got a little bit of a seam right here where that flake kind of broke weird. You can see the seam going through the rock. So depending on how that plays out, we may end up making a fulsome, but till then we'll try to I'll try to keep it in line for a Clovis. I usually try to make, I start off specifically trying to make something. Well, I have, but I do wear, these are readers, but they're safety glasses also. I tell people whenever you're starting this, even if you don't need glasses to see, wear protective eye gear. I still have flakes occasionally bounce off my face and will get in corners of my eye. They're not traveling with enough velocity to stick in there. It's just basically like getting dirt or anything. What's one of my favorite pieces I've made so far? Oh, Jake, I've got a bunch. I don't know if I've got any pictures on my profile but I've got a keeper case that I think I did a video of it, but that's where some of my favorites are at. I don't have any of them sitting out here in my napping area. That's where all my favorite stuff is in a case right now. Every once in a while I let one go. Justin Flum, if he's in here, he's got a little Dalton that was in one of my favorites cases. But I've got a few. I've probably got, I don't know, 15 or 20 pieces that at this time right now is as good as I'm capable of doing. And I replace them occasionally with new stuff. We can do another show and tell one of these days if you guys want to see some of my finished work. Well, I don't have anything close, that's what I was saying. But if you'll go right up here and check out my profile, I've got all kinds of finished stuff that I've posted videos and pictures of that you can check out. And we'll try to... Hey, what are you looking at? Thank you for the follow. But I've been working on a few different projects. I kind of got, well, I'll tell you what, I've got something here for you. If you want to see a finished piece, finished this one yesterday. That is a killer little fulsome. That's probably one of my best so far. And I made one the day before. Same material. This is another nice one. These are those are my, right now, my, thank you, I appreciate it. Levi, thank you. And is it Butte with a bunch of letters or butt? I don't know, but thank you. We'll go with Butte. How's that sound? All right, let's try to see if we can take the, I'm going to see if I can thin this down or break it one right here. I guess we'll just thin it down. Call me whatever you want, huh? User, if you want to check that out, the setup, I've got a video pinned at the top of my profile. If you go to my profile, one of the first videos on there, there's about a 4-minute video explaining how I got that all set up. And then if you've got more questions, come back in and I'll be happy to answer them. Get close to that seam there. Yeah, see, I got underneath that seam, but you can see some of that little chattery whatever underneath, and then it was actually an open seam right there, that little dark spot. Whoop. See that kind of weird, funky little spot right here. So hopefully it doesn't come apart. That's one of the downfalls of this Buffalo River. It's very. Jake, I don't use any modern tools. It's all stone or antler or wood. That's all I use. I used to use copper, and I don't have anything against, you know, modern tools or anything like that. I mean, I'm not a, you know, fanatic as far as that. I just love working with these tools. You know, it's the way I explain it to people. You know, I think of this as a modern art form. You know, I call it functional art, because the pieces that I make, you know, I can use those as intended. In fact, this is one that I use all the time. This is for when I make my arrows and do my other crafts. This is like the third blade that I've put in this handle. You know, I call it functional art. And, you know, people, if you know of a painter or somebody who likes to draw with colored pencils or with charcoal or with graphite, they've got a preferred medium that they work with. If you like to paint, do you like acrylic paint? Do you like, you know, oil paint, watercolors? The way I look at it, oh no, yeah, it's stone and bone. This stuff will wear away. You know, modern tools for sure, like copper pressure flaking, copper boppers, all of that stuff. That is, it's one of the things I tell everybody that I like about this is because these tools are constantly changing because of the wear, then I'm constantly having to evolve how I use them. And at some point they become unusable in the form that they are, and I either figure out a new way to use them or I discard them. And you know, I still got a whole bunch of my old copper tools that I use when I have people, when I'm giving instruction to people who are wanting to learn with copper tools. And I tell them the consistency, once you learn how a tool feels in your hand, it becomes very familiar. And that's one of the things that I like about this style of flint knapping is you never, you know, once I get a favorite tool, it goes away faster than, you know, it would if it was just whatever. I mean, because if you use it more, you wear it down faster, it changes, it's just, you know, it's an ever evolving deal. So that's one of the things I actually really like about it, is that it's never constant and it's always in flux. You know, it's always changing.
So sorry about the lengthy answer there, but it is something that, this is an art form to me. I love what I do and have for a long time. I've just, after my injury, I was, gave me the opportunity to spend more time studying it to keep me from losing my mind. See, there's the last little bit of that. You can see how that was set up and isolated underneath there. And that's the piece that came off. We've got a little area of mass next to it. We'll adjust that platform. And this is just going to be a little blending type flake across there. That went over into here and just flattened that out some more. Well, thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, I don't have anything against. If you like to use copper tools more, that's cool. But to me, this is just what I like using. I started off with copper years ago and had a few moose billets because, I thought, hey, that'd be cool. And I hardly ever used them because I just never took the time to learn how to use them. They work a little different. There's different rules. That's what I tell people with copper tools. I could pretty much tell the rock what I wanted it to do. There are certain rules that I can bend using a copper tool that I can't do that with antler and stone. And with the natural tools, it's more of I have to kind of ask the rock's permission. So it's just, to me, it's just an organic, it's natural. I like it better. It's just for me. First time I saw Marty Reuter on YouTube napping with antler and stone tools, I was hooked. Awesome, Jay. Yeah, like I said, I've still got some of my old tools, but I use them when I'm, if I had somebody who's wanting to learn and they're wanting to learn with those tools, because truthfully, it's easier to learn with them because of the consistency. And, depending on where you live, antler tools may be difficult for you to come up with. So, there's all kinds of alternatives. Yeah, and that's what it'll help you though too, Justin, is as you get, you work with your stone tools or your antler tools, and then you get to a spot where, but that right there will tell you though, you get to a spot where it's kind of a sticky situation or that you can't get out of with antler, but you can with the copper, and that's telling me, like I said, that you can force the rock to your will a little bit. Make sure those are bubbles. Yep. Well, I don't even know what to say to that there, Wace. Or W-Ace, I don't know. Not familiar with that. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. All right. Take a little bit off that right here. Yeah, I don't. I think I'll pass on that there, Wace. I don't hardly ever have need for antacids of any form, let alone eating some clay. All right. Adjust this on this side just a little. See, one of the things I like about the indirect a lot is, you know, I can back off of the power a little bit, and it works really similar to like, you know, pressure flaking on steroids, kind of. You know, it's got a, you're able to push flakes off there without using near as much force, and it really helps my back a lot when I'm able to do a lot of that work with the punch, and then switch over for the late stage stuff, doing that with the pressure flaking. Springfield Chuck, good morning. Jose, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I don't like how that broke. All right. I guess we're going to get away with it. It looked like I split it at first. All right. Got the tip of it fairly well flattened out. Got a little bit more mass back here. Yeah, Doug, and that's one of the things. I mean, I've got some wrist braces that I've worn sometimes if I'm really hurting, or it's something that I'm doing really heavy pressure flake and there's no way around it. I wear wrist braces sometimes to help with that, because it does put a strain on there for sure. All right. Thank you, Doug. Well, it's helpful. I mean, it is for those of us that are, you know, if you got arthritis and you're getting a little older, losing some of that muscle mass. That was the thing that got me, man. When I started getting older and after my injury and I started losing my strength, it was pretty difficult for me. I was, you know, kind of flustered a little bit, because like I said, I mean, you know, I was always the guy that somebody handed the jar to and said, hey, what's going on, sweetie? You're talking about me, right? Not any of the work. That's my wife, guys, just for the record, so you know. So what a stunning masterpiece. And I said, oh, she must be talking about me. You know it. I was showing them the Folsom that I made yesterday. I wish I could get it in a light where the flute channel showed up better. There, it kind of does. Let's see if we can get it up here. There you can see some of the flute channel, but that thing is a little tater chip. So it's kind of where I was working at with this piece, because it did seem like it was a really clean piece of Buffalo River, of raw buffalo. So that's the direction we're going to go with it, I think. See if we can get some of this off this side. Yeah, that's what I was hoping would happen. See, that flake went from this side right here to right here where my thumbnail is. That's that whole flake. And the reason that I always support those underneath is that flake still broke. Thank you, Doug. Yeah, mind-blowing honesty. I mean, you can't tell. Well, thank you, sweetie. I appreciate it. I've been working at it. You know, I've got a. If you guys wanted to see some of the, well, I go up here to my profile. I just posted a video of it yesterday of the last two Folsoms that I've made. And I've got them laid out with some of the casts that I've been using for reference. And it's difficult to pick out which ones are mine and which ones are the artifacts, well, or the casts of the artifacts. Technically, as soon as I made those, they're shaped by human hands, so these are modern artifacts that I'm making, but I'm basing all of that work off of casts of ancient artifacts. And I'm getting closer. The real ones know. All right. Come on. There it went. Just about to start to have to pressure flake a few things now. Getting pretty thin, and it's a little bit chalky down here on this base, and that makes me a little nervous about, you know, using that as the beginning of the fluting area. But I'll tell you what we might do is we may set this one aside and try to preform another one, and then something a little easier for you guys to see and a little prettier. But we'll straighten this one up and get it kind of a little bit bigger, more worn out. Now I like the brow tines a lot for my pressure. This one, somebody had painted this. I got this one gifted to me, but that's another brow tine. I just like the texture of them, and they seem to stay more solid all the way into the piece, rather than getting pithy like a lot of other antler does. So.
Somebody just followed me. I didn't see the name on there. Let's see. Kalen. All right, thank you,
Caleb. Caleb, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Smaller.
Well, guys, where's everybody watching from today? We've got a few people in here.
I'm in Northwest Arkansas. I know that if Justin's still in here, Justin's from Northwest Arkansas, Justin Plum. Got a few of Arky boys in here. Got Missouri, I think, in the house. Springfield Chuck, Springfield, Missouri. And then I think Mad Dog, no, I can't remember if Mad Dog's in Missouri or not.
Sometimes I set in Central Texas. Right on,
Doug. Yeah, I'm glad to see you in here. I hadn't seen you for a while, Doug, and you started.
Hey, guys. Hey, thanks for...
Elizabeth, thank you. Or Elizabeth and Bob, thank you for the... All right.
Now, as we've been working this, and I keep stressing, you keep the base and the tip thinner than the middle, and always work towards that. Yeah, Northeast Arkansas is a pretty area over there, Doug. North Central Arkansas, as far as mountainous and the rivers and the resources there, I really like that area. Now, Northwest Arkansas, we've got I tell you guys, I live in the middle of, there's napping material all around me. And that's one of the things I really do love, being able to go out and pick up rock out of the streams and stuff. I don't know what I would do if I lived in an area where I couldn't just go out and find napping rock or other resources. We've got I've got hickory trees and cedar trees and bodark trees and yep, I know exactly where that is, Newport. My wife's got family that lives in that area, in Newport, Arkansas. Yeah, that's over there. You're getting into the Mississippi River Valley, and it's a lot of farming, a lot of agriculture over there for sure. Lots of arrowheads, yep.
Yes, sir. A lot of folks, because of the agriculture, depending on what kind of field situations, they find a lot of them in those kind of areas because of the agriculture. I'm sure that the area that I live in, if we went down through the hollers and the bottoms down here by the creeks and dug them up, it would be a free-for-all. There are so many resources. I've got a friend of mine now. Eddie doesn't live here now anymore. He lived here for a while, but he lives in Georgia. But that dude is the artifact findingest person I've ever known in my life. And he came into this area, and within a couple of years had figured out some spots that he was finding some points and stuff that was just it was mind-blowing. I mean, I think he found 3,000 artifacts. Now, when I say artifacts, there were broken pieces, and preforms and that stuff, but he found a cache of Scott's Bluffs that it was just mind-blowing. I mean, gorgeous pieces that were all first stage. He was finding that stuff and had just moved here, and there's guys that had been searching this area their whole lives that hadn't found stuff like that. So Eddie is very gifted at finding artifacts. I'm kind of the other direction. I would be likely to walk over an artifact looking for napping material. I like to find the rocks to make them with. See, all I'm doing right here is I'm doing like a smaller, like a downscale version of what I do on when I'm trying to remove mass. Hey, Bubba, good morning. It's like I always tell you that you kind of work your way up to that mass, and you kind of build you isolate it and never just go right at that area.
See, what I'm doing is I'm just taking pressure flakes, you can see right here, and I'm trying to isolate this area of mass that's right underneath my finger. Yep, that's, well, for the paleo stuff, Doug. Now
once they started growing food and they started living in areas, the transitional stuff, that's when you find camps. For the old stuff, for the the true hunter-gatherer paleo stuff, you're going to have to find, like you said, winter camps or kill sites, that kind of stuff, to be able to find those artifacts. You have to either find where they were making them or find where they were using them. Whereas, well, if you've ever hunted, done much artifact searching, but if
you know what a midden pile is,
and that's what we find. See, that's what people don't understand, is that these
used up arrowheads that we look for, that we think are so cool, those were just, they were discarded for the most part. Some of the bigger ones, obviously they were probably lost or dropped, or but the stuff that we find that's all used up is exactly what it was. That was trash to them. They threw that out with the bone piles and the whatever else that they weren't using. That's why usually when I'm making a piece, I try not to make it, yeah, that's Doug, that's what I'm talking about. Those people that don't know what a midden pile is, it's basically just the trash heap that would have been at the edge of wherever people were living. And they're dumping everything in there, from bones and, pieces of hide and anything. It's just trash. It's just their landfill. And what we're looking for and going ape crap crazy over is basically a used up X-Acto knife that they threw in the trash. And that's why typically, like I said, when I'm making a piece, I try to make it what I would consider to be first stage, and not used up. I didn't like that flake. I was hoping that would go a little cleaner across there, but we'll deal with that coming back the other way. all right. I didn't even, I tell you. Yep, absolutely, Doug. Gimsbach, I didn't even watch the I don't watch professional football. My wife and I were joking because of all the social media stuff and everything that was around all the stuff, and we were trying to figure out when it was. We don't watch, regular like network TV. We watch mainly streaming stuff. I'm not big about the mainstream crap. I kind of go along the same line of thinking. A lot of these people that, a lot of professional sports seem almost what you would call scripted or semi-scripted. And, the NFL, when I quit watching, reminded me more of a soccer league with a bunch of guys whining about getting hit. It's frickin' football, man. It's smash head, run people over football, and they've turned it into patty cake, and I just quit watching it. I mean, I played football in high school, and in those days, I mean, it's just a different deal. There we go. I wanted that to travel a little farther, but that's okay. All right. I'm pretty happy with the profile on this for a Folsom. We've got a fairly nice ridge, with a little bit of mass right through here. This side's a little bit flat, so we'll probably make this the second side because we can build more convexity into that. I have to agree. I watched to see those commercials. Oh yeah, like I said, I haven't even listened to any of the. Yeah, no kidding, Gimsbach. Mine do too, man. I can feel them every time it gets cold. Knees and shoulders. I dislocated my shoulder playing, and that I think has a lot to do with the bursitis that I deal with. It was my coach put it back in place by having me put my hand up on his shoulder and then yanked my arm and popped it back into place. That was our medical staff, But yeah, it's just gotten out of hand. I mean, to me, a lot of that stuff anyway. All right. All right, now at this stage in a Folsom, I got to start thinking about building convexity and setting up a platform in the base here. I think we're going to do the first flute on this side, or when I do, it's not going to happen today probably, but yeah, that's nuts. $8 million for 30 seconds. And that's every 30 seconds that they play one of those. You think about some of those companies that would have, 6 or 7 commercials during a football game or more, 10, at each whack, $8 million. But that's just proof positive that they're using that. They know that that's going to drive the people that are watching that. They're to buy those products, and that's why it's become more business than it has sport. Yep, exactly, Doug. I didn't even see what you'd said there but yeah, that's my whole issue with it. Is it's become more about the revenue of it than the sport of it, and I got no need for that. The type of money that they're paying these entertainers is absolutely ridiculous to me. There's no human being, I don't care what you're able to do, there's no human being worth the millions of dollars they pay some of those players
to run fast, to throw a ball far, to hit a ball far, and that it's just ridiculous to me. But anymore, I'm kind of in the minority, so.
Yeah, me too, Doug.
And that's why, like I said, we've kind of quit watching mainstream television as far as, we don't get a lot of the commercials and the stuff and the. But I am ready for the summer, the weather change, and be able to get out and do some rock collecting and get to start working some more on our napping village area where I'm going to be doing my events and stuff.
Justin, when you come down, we'll go.
I'll go show you that area down there. Kind of show you the planning process.
Hey, Justin, what time were you thinking about coming up here?
Next Monday.
Right on.
Well, like I said, what I was thinking was, if you want to be up here fairly early,
I'll set up and just in time for a good nap.
Justin, by early bird, what are you saying? Like,
If you want to
come up, I figure we could probably just have both of us live on the, and just talk during the live, and then we can nap after that also. But if you want to come up before I start the live, like,
you get here by, yeah, that'd be great. 7 o'clock would be really good, and we can get you set up in here, and I can get, I don't know, I don't get on camera much other than just this, so you guys can see what I'm doing, but yeah, we can get you set up. I've got a spot over here that we can kind of work side by side ish. Yeah, Kenosha. Justin's going to come up. We had been planning it for a while. He just lives probably 45 minutes south of where I live, and so he's been wanting to come up, and looks like we finally got an opportunity to do that. And if, like I said, if you've got your, me, when I travel or when I go someplace, I have to bring my seat, and I have to feel comfortable. I've been working on this setup back and forth for a long time, and when I get, I can nap, standing up, I can sit on another chair, but it just doesn't feel. Absolutely, Kenosha. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like I said, I've bragged quite a bit on Justin's work, man. He's only been napping for. I grew up with organic lifestyle. Yep, me too, Doug. We always grew a garden and all that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to napping with Justin. It's pretty obvious he's got a natural aptitude for it. He's only been napping for, well, not even a year. Yeah. And like I've said several times, he's making stuff that, it would have taken. I was a couple of years into it before I was making anything that I wanted to show anybody. So I think that's awesome. All right, well, there's our. I'm gonna adjust. I'm working on this right now. You can kind of see how I'm starting to set up a ridge and a platform for that base. But if you were in here when we started, You have a lot of no-shows? Yeah, we all do though, Justin. Now that's what I try to tell people too, is that, you know, if you're looking at, you know, what people are posting most of the time, that's why I love the lives, guys. You know, there's my only, right on, Kenosha. Yeah, I don't, you know, when you're looking at people, what they're posting and stuff, don't base your napping off that, because for the most part, they're showing you their wins. They're not showing you the struggle in between, you know, and that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons I really like the lives, is because you get to watch, you know, when I make a bad flake, you see it as soon as I do, you know. You know I screwed up just as quick as I do. So, to me, it's more realistic, you know. I mean, it's, now I could sit here and nap and not talk to you guys or not answer questions and all that, but, you know, what fun is that? You know, you want to see some old dude sitting there smacking on a rock and not saying anything. I'm not wired that way. I'm too much of a talker.
Okay, well, once we get to this stage now with these Folsoms, because I know it looks like we're going to lose a lot of material, but to get to the profile that we need, not that I know of, Kenosha, I have napped some stuff that had fossils in it, but never napped an actual fossil. Now I know that there's a well, it's rock, but they call it phosphoria. Tristan, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. The teacher. But there's this stuff, it's called phosphoria, and I believe it is fossilized dinosaur bone. And there's a couple of guys that work it, you know, they work it in, it's heated and slabbed and all that stuff. And I think that's pretty cool, but. Well, thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. And Justin, thank you for kind words.
You know, my wife has to say that, but the rest of you, thank you.
Because trust me,
you know, she gets to listen to it, Justin.
that poor woman, you know,
I mean, I'm pretty obsessed with flint napping, guys, and
primitive stuff, you know, in general. And that woman has
heard it all. and still chooses to come home every day.
That's what amazes me. You know. That's what I told her. I said that's the best part of my day is when she comes home, because I know she made a conscious effort to come back to me. So, you know.
Just about out of coffee. I don't know if any of you guys were in here earlier. Check out these little doodles that I've made. It's like a caveman wristwatch. I made these this weekend too. I was kind of in a crafty mood this weekend, so I've got T-Rex fossil. That's crazy.
Oh, well, we're just about to the end of our couple of hours, guys. This is where we're at. I'm getting ready to. The next series will be working off this edge to try to isolate that ridge just a little bit more, and it's getting there. We want an isolated ridge. Is to show off to other anglers. Well, Kenosha, thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it. I really enjoy being able to interact with you guys and be able to share stuff that I love with people that are interested in listening to it or learning from it. So thank you guys, because, you know, without... Oh yeah, I love to fish too, Doug. I have taught many people in this area, you know, people that I've met and friends and stuff. fishing. I grew up fishing the creeks and the lakes here, and you know, in my younger days when I could physically, you know, tournament fish, I did a lot of tournament fishing for largemouth, but then I also do a lot of creek fishing, crappie fishing in the spring. You know, coincides with our mushroom season here. In my opinion, there's not a finer meal on this earth than spring crappies and a big mess of morel mushrooms. I've told people if I was ever allowed to have a choice of my last meal, it would be a big plate of fresh fried crappie and fried morel mushrooms, and then I'd be happy.
Field to table. Hey, welcome in. Is that Chris? I know you normally go by.
I think it's Chris, isn't it?
I kind of recognize the picture.
See, what I'm doing here is, now that I've got that edge refined, turning the entire edge towards the face that I'm going to fluke first.
And all we're doing, now you can see how that edge, how thin, but how it's beveled. And you can see it starting to, oh yeah, there you go. But you see how that's starting to get a nice domed over shape, and I haven't even done the other side. But what it's doing is it's isolating this area right here. Then we're going to set up a platform that will go right down that. So but it's a nice profile for a Folsom. The material's a little chalkier than I usually like to work with, but it's all part of learning. That's what I'm still trying to do with those pieces. I don't know if you guys were in here earlier. These were some Folsoms. Isn't there a high spot on the tip? What I do with the... Yeah, I've got a little bit of a spot here, but I haven't worked that other edge, and that'll go away right here. That'll go away when I bevel this edge the same as this other side. You can see this is that edge where that raised area is, and this is the edge that I haven't worked yet. You can see how that other edge, how much more drastic this rounded bevel is here. And I'll have to go back and forth a few times to get that ridge the way I want it, because when you set that up to run a flake from the base of it, and see this piece will be a little bit bigger than these, but it's the same concept. I'm trying to develop a ridge, because both of these pieces here, when I first started working them, I was trying to find something that was similar in size. Now that's not quite the same, but these were a little bit smaller. These weren't very big pieces, so that one is going to be a little bit wider, a little bit bigger piece. May not end up being too much wider by the time I get done with it, but it's going to be a longer piece for sure. So, but like I said, I truly believe that the reason that they were so, I mean, look at the bases on those. You can see the channel makes a little open lens spot in the center, and the thickness or thinness of those, you know, they absolutely, Kenosha Ken, if you want to send me something. In fact, I got to go up to check the PO box. Well, I don't want it to hit that mass though, Doug, and roll in and take the tip off there. Kenosha, take a screenshot of that right there, and let me know when you got it. link in the bio. I don't have my address or anything in there, but this is my mailing address. If you want to get a screenshot or write that down, let me know when you get it. And I will head up and check I got to go check the post office box this week anyway. So, but yeah, if any of you guys want to send me some material to work on the live, I'd be more than happy to. So I'm always looking forward to working new stuff, and it's all practice. Thank you. I appreciate it. So anyway, looks like we're at the end of our coffee this morning. No float pieces, and doesn't look like I've got much in the bottom there. So looks like we ended up all right. I'll be in here tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. You guys want to join me again? I'd appreciate it. All right. Thank you for joining me, and hope to see you tomorrow, guys. Oh, be good to yourselves and those around you, and keep chipping.